Hi, Tiny Home fam. This is Lindsay, and I have landed back here in Ukiah, California, and I wanted to focus in on the room I'm in. So let me just give you a little tour. There's my desk, and there's little extension for some organization of papers, little yoga mat, reading cards, and doing some journaling, and got some winter clothing to put away. And this video is all about how cold it is in this room with a mini split. I did not turn on the fan yet, but that is the way I need. If I push my hand up here, I can feel warmth. Like that's the kind of warmth that I would like down at my feet level, right? Where my doggy's laying down. That's Zoe. But it's not. And that's been on for like 20 minutes at least. That should have created enough warmth in the room. So how do you fix that in a tiny home? Like, I know this is not a tiny home. This is the part of our year where we don't live in our tiny home. We live up in my parents' house in Ukiah, California. So it's a classic scenario of, this home's old enough. It's not going to be, they're not going to rip up the floor and put in radiant floor heating. But that's the direction I'm recommending for anyone building a new tiny home that wants radiant floor heating or heating and warmer feet. I mean, I now have to put slippers on these socks because my feet are cold and I don't like it. And that's usually what's going on, right? Especially with a tiny home. What's underneath a tiny home is air, right? It's usually a metal frame and hopefully it's been sealed and insulated and all that correctly. But you're going to have cold coming up. But if you can embed a thin little radiant floor heating made by Gold Heat, and they did not pay me for this. I am literally just identifying how much I would love heat, and I would love it in my home. In fact, we're thinking of ripping up all of our hardwood floors because I do not have radiant floor heating, which just, it takes the edge off. If it's warm from down below, what does heat do? It rises. Right now, what's going on? This is heat up and it's trying to get down. That is like going against thermodynamics incredibly. So I'm going to turn this on now, turn on the fan to hopefully at least circulate air. Well, not everyone has fans right exactly near where the mini split is. And we do have that. But I'm up in the gooseneck. We've got one mini split. It's very clear that the way we built our home, we now need to add another mini split. Or I could have done just like probably, God, the whole thing is like maybe 10 square feet of the room. It's not, I don't need to put anything. Well, actually, I would put heating underneath there, right, on the floor. But if it's a bed, I don't need to put heating underneath like this Murphy bed. This used to be in our tiny home. So it's really just the area where your feet are. And this room is like double the size of my gooseneck room. So it's all about in the design. And when you work with your builders that are building your home, or if you're building your home, think about the heat source, because those mini splits that go, the heat pumps out of those, they're good for air conditioning, maybe cold air. If hot air rises, does cold air drop? I think so. All I know right now is I'm having to move the air and just at least try to cycle it, move it around, to get this room a little bit warmer. And that's been on far long enough. So what I'm thinking of doing is not using that and using a kind of one that you plug in the door that's kind of like an oil heat inside, not a fan, but an oil heat type of system because I don't like being cold. And I know I'm in like Northern California, so anyone that is in places where it's much colder than this, I feel ya, but I've never lived in that environment except for Tahoe around snow in the winter. And they have really good heaters in those buildings. So think about the homes you're building, tiny homes. And sometimes because there's already you yourself, maybe a computer in the room, it can generate enough heat. If it's like a 60-degree day or maybe in the 50s, as you get, colder, it might be a little bit, you need other sources, wood stove or you name it. So be thinking about that and go check out goldheat.com because these are systems that I wish I had in our tiny home, because that is not a good heater source.